So, shalom everyone once again, and good morning. We're going to be learning Tanya. We're going to be learning Tanya, and we're going to be continuing to study another chapter about positivity and about how to be and feel encouraged about perhaps things that might seem not thrilling, or they might even seem perhaps bad. And this is talking about our spiritual life. We started speaking a bit about this last chapter, and this chapter we're going to continue speaking about it. And the Alter Rebbe is going to introduce to us two very, very important principles. And these principles, the Alter Rebbe, we will see why they are so important and significant in our life. So perhaps you've heard of the term a Chasidische Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara Chasidi. What is a Chasidische Yetzer Hara? Which means it's 100% kosher. Not only kosher, he's even extra cautious, extra careful. He's a chassid. He's supposed to be a chassid. But it's a Yetzer Hara. And there are certain ways to find him and to be able to detect him as a Yetzer Hara. But the idea is that he comes to a person in ways that seem to be good ways. He's dressed up like a chassid with a big, big shtreimel. He's got a long, long beard. He's got long, long payas. And he looks like the finest person that you will see. But nevertheless, he is the Yetzer Hara. And perhaps this is something that we might have noticed in our own personal life in different occasions, that on the one hand, there is something that seems like the right thing to do, the best thing to do, but we know it's not what we should really be doing. Here, the Alter Rebbe is going to give us a specific example, but we don't have to even go into examples. It's the principle and the concept. This also goes to teach us that the Yetzer Hara is very wise and very smart. The Yetzer Hara basically lives within us. Sometimes it's hard to understand that, and we might think that the Yetzer Hara is this, it's this whatever force or this person here once in a while. It's totally out of me. It's not who I am. It's not within me. He doesn't know anything about me. The Yetzer Hara, his expertise is in adjustment, being able to adjust to certain things in life. I'm sorry, I was busy. I was in a shiur now. Okay? I was in a shiur. You can go play, please. So, excuse me once again for this. I hope you can hear me clearly. Back to the story of the Yetzer Hara Chasidi. So, the Yetzer Hara is a professional in adjustment. And what does this mean? That it could be that a person was really advanced in his Jewish practice and in his mitzvahs and is studying Torah. And he thinks to himself that he beat the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara can't confront me, because I remember the Yetzer Hara then. He came to me and he told me, don't put on tefillin today. I'm not holding there anymore. I put on tefillin every single day. So perhaps I beat the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hara vanished. And could the Yetzer Hara even upgrade himself to the new level where I currently am holding. So we might think this to ourselves that, you know what, we completely beat the Yetzer Hara. And it says even about the biggest tzaddikim that there are certain things that you can't say that you beat the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is always there, and not only that, he's another side to life, to our current position in life. So even if I beat the Yetzer Hara 10 years ago, today I have a new Yetzer Hara, a different Yetzer Hara. And the danger is that I might not even be aware of that Yetzer Hara, right? So there was actually a story in this war, in the current war, when they were actually going from house to house in one of the kibbutzim. So there was a terrorist that hid in the house, and only his leg was showing out, and he was wearing sandalim, sandals, and they are called sandalei shoresh. It's a very typical Israeli type of sandals, and he was hiding there with his leg out, and he was crying for help. So one of the soldiers wanted to rush in and to try and help him. And his commander stopped him. His commander said, no, don't go. For some reason, he had a feeling that this might be a trap. And they decided to go from the other side of the house. And then they saw that there were several, there was basically a ma'arav, which is basically a trap that was set up with several terrorists aiming that the moment that the Israeli soldiers would enter that house, they would open fire. So they were able to kill them right on time before they were able to respond with fire. So sometimes the Yetzer Hara dresses up in the exact same way that a tzaddik dresses up. In yeshiva, they used to tell us, and this is an example, in yeshiva, sometimes there were guys that they like to learn up, stay awake late and learn during the nighttime. Not to go to sleep, at 10, 11, 12, but to go to sleep at 1, 2, because they were still learning. So the rabbis always told us that is a typical example for a Hasidic Yetzer Hara. Because a Hasidic Yetzer Hara is a Yetzer Hara that does not tell us don't learn. If he'll tell us don't learn, we beat that Yetzer Hara 10 years ago. Yes, we beat the Yetzer Hara 10 years ago. So today, that's not where we are holding. But now the Yetzer Hara has a new technique, right? The Yetzer Hara knows, and this is a quote from the Rabbi Rayat. The Rabbi Rayat said, if the Yetzer Hara would tell us to go and worship idols tomorrow morning, we would chase him out. We wouldn't listen to him. So the Yetzer Hara is very wise. He's very clever, and he fits himself to our current position in life. And if we are used to learning Torah, sometimes he will even tell us, you know what? Learn more. And what will happen? His plan is that once a person learns too much, so it's a bit too much for his kalim, which means it's a bit too much for his tolerance. Now, at this current position, he will, at the end of the day, go back in Yiddishkeit. He will leave the learning completely. It's too much for me. Go step by step. Any person that is getting close to Hashem and becoming a chozer b'tshuvah, so the best thing to do for him to do is to take it step by step. And that is according to Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch tells us, yes, keep all the mitzvahs, 100%. I want to keep all the mitzvahs. But in order to keep all the mitzvahs, I have to take it step by step. And that's why perhaps at a certain lifetime, there are certain things that we can find easy ways. That the Torah itself permits us to use those excuses and special exits in order to stay close to Hashem. There is another quote. It's also a famous Hayom Yom. And this, I think, was the daughter of the Alter Rebbe, that the daughter of the Alter Rebbe was not feeling well. And she woke up in the morning, she wasn't feeling well, and she started davening. And the Alter Rebbe told her it's better to eat something in order to daven than to daven in order to eat. So sometimes we might be giving into the Yetzer Hara slightly, but the purpose is to increase in Yiddishkeit. And on the other hand, of course, we've got to be very careful with that. We can't feed the Yetzer Hara with actual sins. But in certain cases, there is room to say, you know what, you should have now a good meal, or don't learn Torah now because it might push you away in other ways. This is, again, the whole idea of a Hasidic Yetzer Hara. A Yetzer Hara that is dressed up as a Chassid. And this is the first principle that the Alter Rebbe is teaching us, and I want to read it inside.
Chapter? Can I ask which chapter?
We're chapter 28.
Okay.
We are chapter 28, and I apologize for a bit of the noise in the background. My daughters here at home, they still don't have full daycare. So we get to spend quality time. This is part of what is happening during these days, and I'm sure many other parents also around that they have to they get to spend quality time with the kids. So I just want to share with you the actual page of the of the Tanya. Okay, so because we are going to learn it together. We are going to be learning and reading inside together. This is chapter 28. We learned a bit about chapter 27 last week, a very, very interesting and special chapter. And today we're up to chapter 28. Our next shir is going to be by Rabbi Kowalski at 11 o'clock. And that's Insights to the Torah, a very interesting shir about Chumash Bereshis, about the whole story of Genesis. So I'm going to share screen one moment. Let me see if I can. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
It's Rabbi.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry for the interruption. We're starting now straight with chapter 28, very special and interesting chapter. And this is from the words of the Alter Rebbe. I would like to ask if anyone wants to volunteer and start reading for us the first paragraph, even if there occurred to him, and that we're going to read the first paragraph in chapter 28. Who would like to start reading?
I guess I'm always the first.
Okay, Ovadia.
Even if there occur to him lustful imaginations or other extraneous thoughts during divine service, in Torah or in devout prayer, he must not let his heart dwell on them, but must immediately avert his mind from them. Nor should he be foolish by attempting to sublimate the midot of the extraneous thought, as is known. For such things were meant only for Zedekim, in whom extraneous thoughts do not occur of their own making, but of others. But as for him, whose extraneous thought is his own, from the aspect of evil that is in the left part of his heart, how can he raise it up when he himself is bound below?
Yes, Emad, thank you. So what Alter Rebbe here is basically telling us is that people might feel very discouraged, very upset about the fact that they have lustful thoughts or any other foreign thoughts that the Alter Rebbe brings here. And this occurs during davening. So we said if this happens during the workday and the mundane activity, in this case, we should chase those thoughts away, and we should be happy that we are able to fulfill a mitzvah. And that is totally natural. The key of chapter 27 was accepting ourselves, accepting who we are, accepting the fact that, yes, we are human beings that do have lustful thoughts from time to time. And our mitzvah is to try and chase them away. But we shouldn't feel depressed because of the fact that we have such thoughts. What happens if we have those thoughts during davening or during learning time? The Alter Rebbe says that this might even be more frustrating, more upsetting, and can lead to a deeper depression. And why is this? Because I'm in the middle of davening. What's wrong with me? Am I that a terrible person that during davening, when I'm standing in front of Hashem, or while I'm learning, or while I'm doing a mitzvah, these bad thoughts pop into my mind, or I have a temptation to do something bad? This can cause us, unfortunately, this can cause us to feel very, very upset. So if it's during mundane activities, that's the regular war, so to speak. That's a war that we all are aware of. We have a war between the good side, the Yetzer Tov, and between the Yetzer Hara, and we are supposed to help out the Yetzer Tov to conquer the Yetzer Hara. However, when it's during davening time, that's when I express only my Yetzer Tov. Where's this bad coming from? So the Alter Rebbe says, you know what? First of all, the solution is to distract our mind immediately and not to do what is called in Kabbalah. There's such a concept that is called Ha'alat Hamidot. Ha'alat Hamidot means to track the source of that bad thought or bad desire. Where is that source coming from? And once you're able to detect where that source is coming from, that thought or that feeling, whatever it might be, that desire, once you're able to detect where it's coming from, you can see the positive side to it as well. That is what's called in Kabbalah Ha'alat Hamidot, elevating the traits, elevating and uplifting the temptations. But it's not for ordinary people like us, the Alter Rebbe says, because we cannot truly elevate thoughts that we are overwhelmed by. A person that can uplift temptations is a person that is above temptations, that is not holding there. It's like a tzaddik that in many cases people ask, why do tzaddikim say Ashamnu Bagadnu? Why do tzaddikim say Tachanun? They say Vidui. I'm sorry, Hashem, for doing that. Did a tzaddik ever steal? So the answer is, he does not do it for himself. He does it for other people that are connected to his neshama. And that's why even when a tzaddik is davening, in his mind, there might pop up a foreign thought. And the tzaddik says, this is not my thought because I don't have these temptations. But you know what? It's other souls that are connected to me that they are having these thoughts. And then the tzaddik goes and uplifts the thought, finds a positive side to that thought, and in that way he purifies it. So that the Alter Rebbe is mentioning this as kind of brackets. He's just telling us, I want to be very clear. Don't try and use this method of uplifting thoughts while you are bombarded by these thoughts yourself, or while you in your current position are connected to these thoughts. They are part of your life, and that's the Yetzer Hara. He adjusts to you. He'll make himself suitable for your position. And this is basically what the Alter Rebbe tells us until now. But what about the feeling that a person feels frustrated? He's upset. Ribono shel olam, I am here davening, I'm here doing a mitzvah, I'm here learning. Why do you bring this temptation? And it's not only about foreign thoughts, right? I'm preparing a Shabbos table. I'm cooking for Shabbos. And then, unfortunately, something distracts my mind, or someone calls me with a new request, or someone makes me upset. Why did he need to call me Erev Shabbos and make me upset? Right? A person is in the Shabbos table of Rosh Hashanah, and then there is something that makes him so upset. Whatever, it could be something on the table, someone that's by the table, someone said something, and The Alter Rebbe says, first of all, control yourself. Control yourself. But not only that, but I feel bad about the fact that something like this is happening. It's like a person preparing for a wedding or for a bar mitzvah, and he goes and he attends, and someone spills a coffee on his shirt before he's leaving. So, okay, you're not going to lose your temper, but you're so upset. Why does this have to happen to me? I'm in the middle of doing something good, Hashem. Why are you allowing this thought to pop into my mind? Let's see what the Alter Rebbe gives, what the answer, a beautiful answer of the Alter Rebbe. And once again, here it's speaking specifically about davening, but it's in any other field. I went and I worked so hard to go and give a gift to my parents. And I was expecting them to be so happy and so grateful for such a mitzvah. But instead of that, they start talking to me about whatever. Yeah. So even if I don't fall into that temptation, Hashem, why are you bringing this temptation to me in this current moment when I'm trying to get so close to you? And it could be also the whole journey of tshuva that we are all into. Hashem, I've been doing so well until now. Why are you making it so difficult and so hard? Let's take a look at the answer of the Alter Rebbe. I would like to ask another volunteer to please read for us the second paragraph.
I can read it, Yaakov.
Yaakov, thank you, Yaakov.
Nevertheless, he must not be downcast at heart and feel dejected and despicable during divine service, which should be with great joy. On the contrary, he should draw fresh strength and intensify his effort with all his power to concentrate on the prayer with increased joy and gladness, in the realization that the foreign thought that had invaded his heart comes from the klipa in the left part, which in the case of the Benoni wages war with the divine soul within him. For it is known that the way of combatants, as of wrestlers, is that when one is gaining the upper hand, the other likewise strives to prevail with all the resources of his strength. Therefore, when the divine soul exerts itself and summons its strength for prayer, the klipa also gathers strength at such time to confuse her and topple her by means of a foreign thought of its own.
Thank you. So the Alter Rebbe says, on the contrary, not only that a person should not feel sad about the fact that he is under certain temptations or thoughts, whatever it might be, he should be happy. He should be happy, and he should increase in his kavana, in his intention, and in his actions to add in good. Because this is exactly the nature of war. The nature of war is that when one side does so much good and is proceeding in the battle, the other side is trying to fight back. Not only to fight back, but to use more tools, and even sometimes it's the last weaponry that he has, he's going to try and put that and throw that into the battlefield as well. It's like the moment that a person, even people that, for example, so here the example is about wrestling, that's fighting two people, that two people are wrestling. Even when a person is able to, when he does a workout, okay? So the beginning of the workout is easy because he's used to it. As the person gets closer to the end of his workout, it's very, very hard. And perhaps the last pull-up or the lift up, that's the hardest. However, that's exactly when you win or when you stretch the limit of your muscles. And that's what grows the muscle as well. It's only when it's hard for the muscle, when the muscle is feeling perhaps that it's painful or not painful, but it's very difficult, very hard. That is when the muscle builds itself. And in that same way, when we fight the Yetzer Hara, we have to have in mind that idea all the time. Because when we are fighting the Yetzer Hara, in Hebrew they say, Hulo Frayer. He's not going to give up so quickly. He has a mission, and the mission, by the way, was given to him by Hashem, and he's going to try fight until the end. It's not that if we do a mitzvah, Hashem says, okay, you know what? I'll let you continue like this. No. The Yetzer Hara is going to say, I can't let go of this Yid. I want to make sure that he goes the wrong way. So when's the time, the best time of the Yetzer Hara? Exactly when the Yid is getting closer and closer to Hashem. By the way, it's well known in Kabbalah that wherever there is a strong force of Kedusha, there is always a counter, a strong force of Klippa. For that very reason, Hashem wants to even things out to make sure that we grow, right? It's like the butterfly. The butterfly starts off as a golem. Forgot the word in English for the golem. He starts like a zachal, and then he becomes a golem, and then he becomes a butterfly. I don't know the first two terms in English, but he doesn't start off like we see him flying around with wings. He doesn't have wings at the beginning, and he's got to break through the covering or the peel that covers him, and that's what makes his wings actually strong enough so he can fly. So if a person sees, or the butterfly himself perhaps sees that it's a struggle, right? He's got to break through that the peel around him, and it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult for him perhaps to actually break the peel around him and to grow the wings. But in order for that to, we're talking about a butterfly. We're talking about the butterfly basically developing, growing its wings. And the way that it grows its wings is, again, it's breaking through the sorry for that. So once again, we are talking about the butterfly, that once the butterfly basically, the way that the butterfly grows its wings, it's not born that way. It starts off covered by a shield or a peel, something like that, and it has to break through the shield. And when it breaks through the shield, that's what causes the muscles of the wings to actually develop and to be strong enough to carry it and to make sure that it can fly. So imagine if I'm observing now the butterfly at its first moment when it's trying to break through the shield. And out of mercy, I want to say, or even in this example, the butterfly is telling itself, God, why do I need to fight so hard against the shield that you created? Hashem says, if you want to fly, if you want to know how to fly, which means if we also want to know how to fly and how to overcome our Yetzer Hara, it's going to be hard. And there's exactly that line where it's the hardest, perhaps. And we might turn to Hashem, Hashem, why are you putting me there? The butterfly might say, why do I have this shield around me? And Hashem says, this is to make you overcome the temptation. So don't feel upset about the fact, and you're doing very well. Because if the butterfly is just there not trying to break the shield, well, in that case, the butterfly is not going to leave it. The butterfly is not going to. The butterfly is not going to. The butterfly is not going to basically be able to develop wings and fly. And this is what the Alter Rebbe is telling us over here. That when we feel while doing a mitzvah a certain temptation, or when we feel that we were doing a mitzvah, we were preparing for Shabbos, and this upsetting news suddenly interferes, distract our mind, and feel happy. And not only feel happy about it, but increase in the Kedusha, because this is our moment. This is the time that we are actually subduing the Yetzer Hara to Kedusha and holiness. There is one small thing also to add over here, and this is the whole reason to the idea of temptations and of needing to overcome. So let's say the butterfly might ask Hashem, why did you put me in a position that I have to grow my wings in the first place in this situation? Or we might ask Hashem, why did you make things so difficult in the first place? Make Judaism something easy. Make it something simple. Make it something natural. So this is not what the Alter Rebbe is trying to tell us over here. That the Alter Rebbe told us last chapter that Hashem gains lots of nachas from our effort. And we gave the example, the Alter Rebbe spoke about the example of sweet and sour. You can eat something that is only sweet, a lollipop. It's nice, but it does not reach the same level of something that is sweet and sour, which means it's something that perhaps for itself would be sour, like salt or like pepper, that you can't eat it by itself. But if you are able to add it to certain foods, it tastes even better than something that is only sweet. And this is the story of our life and our journey. We go through a sweet and sour experience. We have salt, we have pepper, but we also make sure to have good parts and good sides to it. And that is when we are able to overcome. But yes, there are temptations. It's going to be difficult. Hashem wants it to be difficult because this is the nachas that we can cause it. And only we can cause this type of nachas. No one else can do it. Righteous people, they are pure and they are sweet. There's nothing sour there. On the other hand, there's not much taste. It's like an angel. You know, when it comes to an angel, it's great that that they are angels and that they are tzaddikim, but their type of avodah is their type of avodah is different to ours. And like Yaakov Meir said in the comments, lefum tzara agra, exactly according to the pain or the suffering or the effort, we get the reward. And that's why b'makom sheba'alei tshuva omdim, the place that's ba'alei tshuva, when the reward that they receive, afilu tzadikim gmurim einam yochadim la'amod, even righteous people cannot stand there. And why? Because these are two different dimensions. One dimension is what is called or yashar. Another dimension is or chozer. That is words of Kabbalah. But what is the meaning? Or yashar is straight light, which means the way that a person was created, a straight way. He does everything that was good, that is good. He doesn't need to go backwards. He doesn't have to question himself. He is yashar, straight on the highway. That's what he goes, 120 kilometers per hour, and that's it, no questions. There's a person that is or chozer. Or chozer is a returning light, which means this is a light that perhaps has to sometimes go back, be reflected from certain objects. The reflection of light, it's not pure light, it's not straight light. However, there is a big advantage to or chozer. And I'll give you an example from wine. I just discovered this, I don't remember, 2 Shabbos ago perhaps. So, and maybe someone here in the crowd can also speak about that or share something maybe that, because I'm sure you guys know about it better than me. There is, when you open a wine, there's a certain lid that you can add to. And when you add the lid, it causes the wine, when you pour the wine basically gets air or basically you see that there's air there, or it looks like bubbles basically when you're pouring the wine. It's not muscato, there's not real bubbles there, but that lets the taste of the wine that lets the taste of the wine develop, I think that's the idea. So it's like a lid that helps pouring the wine. It's made, I think, out of plastic or perhaps not real glass, maybe crystal or plastic, something like that. And you fit it onto the top of the bottle after you open it. And then when you pour it, it lets the wine, it gives it a bit of movement. So the wine is reflected, and that's how the air enters the wine, and that brings the taste out. So if we want tasteful wine and we don't want to drink wine straight out of the bottle, right? Some people, even they open the bottle half an hour and let it breathe. I don't know why, but I guess that develops the taste, something like that. So that is the same idea as the Alter Rebbe teaches us over here. That, yes, if we want it to be tasteful, if we want Hashem to have nachas, what do you have nachas from? Something that you worked hard on. So that is chapter 27. Chapter 28 is saying there's nothing wrong with you if while you're doing a mitzvah, you have a temptation. Chapter 28 is bringing another aspect. It's not only about the general question, why does Hashem not make things much easier? What is this whole idea of an ongoing battle? That's answered in chapter 27, that there's something unique about the ongoing battle. Something special that we can provide Hashem with. Chapter 28 is about the whole idea of, is there something wrong with me? Or why is this happening to me? I'm doing a mitzvah. I'm such a good person. I try my best. And in the middle of David, I've got this terrible desire, or something bad happens. Something that I did not plan, something that upsets me. So the Alter Rebbe tells us, increase in your efforts and be happy about it. Let's continue the third paragraph. Who would like to read for us the third paragraph, starting with, this refutes.
This refutes the error commonly held by people who mistakenly deduce from the occurrence of the foreign thought that this proves their prayer worthless. For if one prayed as it is fitting and proper, no foreign thoughts would have occurred to him. What they say would be true if there were only one single soul. The same, the praise as well as thinks and fancies the foreign thoughts.
Thank you, Yaakov. So this is the second foundation that the Alter Rebbe brings us over here in this chapter. The first one was the Yetzer Hara Chasidi. Sometimes the Yetzer Hara wants you to think about the foreign thoughts. He wants you to think, to increase in Kedusha. We'll see it in a moment. But here, the second one is the idea of the two souls. And we spoke about it right at the beginning of Tanya. And in many cases, a person might ask himself, what is the nafka mina? What is so important about knowing that we have two souls? We have one, let's say we have one soul that sometimes does, sometimes good, does bad. Why is it so important for the Alter Rebbe to tell us about the nefesh habamit and nefesh elokit? We have two souls, because the Alter Rebbe wants to tell us that it's not. This is just Rabbi Kowalski. I have to take this phone. Just one moment. Sorry again for that. Rabbi Kowalski is going to be giving the shir on Zoom, and we're going to be starting in 15 minutes approximately. back to the Alter Rebbe. What the Alter Rebbe is teaching us over here, that there is nothing wrong when we have a bad temptation popping into our minds, because that belongs to a different person. It's a different soul that is bringing that up. There's a different soul that is upset if something wrong happens at the Shabbos table. It's not me. If there was one soul, so then you have to decide, is that soul doing something wrong? You've got to decide on what side you are. There's no two ways about it, right? Or it's raining outside, or it's not raining outside. But if there are two different worlds, so it could be that in one world it's raining and in the other world it's not raining. That is the idea of the two souls. This is where we see in this chapter 28, this is where we see why it's so important to know that we have two souls. Not only to know that we have a good side, perhaps, and a bad side, right? We have the Yetzer Tov, we have the Yetzer Nefesh Elokit, Nefesh Abamit. What if they were two part of one soul? They are two different people at all. Two different beings totally. And in that case, we can feel comfortable if things aren't going our way, because it's not black and white. If there was one soul, it's black and white. It's all that the soul is doing something good, davening. And if there are foreign thoughts, so it means that the soul is not good. It's not davening properly. There are foreign thoughts. But the Alter Rebbe says there are two different souls. One soul is davening, and the other soul is trying to fight it as much as it can. And the other soul feels under attack at this moment. And that's why it's trying to send weapons and missiles, whatever it might be, towards the davening of the other soul. Because it's about to win. The Nefesh Elokit is about to win. So for sure you should expect temptations to come. This is the idea of the two souls. Let's continue the last line here on the last line here. Who would like to read for us the fourth? This is basically the fourth paragraph. The real truth, however. Daniel, are you with us? Would you like to read?
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, I can read. Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. Can you try a bit louder? I'm finding it hard to hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
The
real truth, however.
just one second. Where is the text?
I'm sorry, I'm finding it hard to hear. Does anyone else perhaps want to read? Yaakov Goldman?
Okay. The real truth, however, is that there are two souls waging war against one another in the person's mind, each one wishing and desiring to rule over him and pervade his mind exclusively. Thus, all thoughts of Torah and the fear of Hashem come from the divine soul, while all mundane matters come from the animal soul, except that the divine soul is clothed in it. This is like the example of a person praying with devotion, while facing him there stands a wicked heathen who chats and speaks to him in order to confuse him. Surely the thing to do in such a case would be not to answer him good or according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Similarly, he must answer nothing, nor encourage in any argument and counter-argument with a foreign thought, for he who wrestles with a filthy person is bound to become soiled himself. Rather, should he adopt an attitude as if he neither knows nor hears the thoughts that have befallen him. He must remove them from his mind and strengthen still more the power of his concentration. However, if he finds it hard to dismiss them from his mind because they distract his mind with great intensity, then he should humble his spirit before God and supplicate him in his thoughts to have compassion upon him in his abundant mercies. As a father who takes pity on his children who stem from his brain, so may the Lord have pity on his soul, which is derived from him who is blessed, and deliver it from the turbulent waters. For his sake he will do it, and for verily his people is a part of the Lord.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this was all the way we got, Baruch Hashem, to the end of chapter 28. And this is basically the idea that the Alter Rebbe tells us, and he brings very clear letters to explain this and to a great example, right? Imagine a person davening with a full intention, a full kavanah, and then there's an Oved Gilulim, an idol worshiper a guy that goes and bothers him during his davening, while he's davening. So, of course, you're not going to come to yourself and blame yourself for that. And you're not going to feel sad about that. The only thing that is useful, and this is what the Alter Rebbe tells us over here, that what is truly useful is to think about, to try and not listen to him and not answer him, not try and fight him, and continue your good work. Because the moment you continue your good work, you're basically showing that you don't care about his response and about his reaction. So this is the key of what Alter Rebbe teaches us over here. Again, it's like someone foreign. It's not even me. If it was me, it would be a problem. But if it wouldn't be me, if it's someone else bothering me, so then I wouldn't feel sad about it, because there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. And on the contrary, I'm probably doing something so good, and that bothers that whoever it might be, a goy or Oved Gilulim. And in that case, I should continue with the good things that I'm doing. That is basically the idea. Just 1 second. Yeah. So chapter 28 is trying to explain to us once again why we should keep a positive mindset. Why should we stay happy, even though during davening and during important mitzvahs that we do in our life, we see struggles. And we see that the Yetzer Hara is also involved. And the reason is, it's because that comes from the Nefesh HaBahamis, from the animal soul. And it's like a separate entity. It's like an Oved Rechavia Mazala. It's a guy, an idol worshiper that comes and sees me davening to Hashem and disturbs me. Could be that this happened to people. And on the contrary, this is a proof that I'm davening well. Because the reason that I'm davening well, this is what causes the person to actually, the Yetzer Hara and the Nefesh HaBahamit to try and fight back. Because he sees that the good work that a person is doing. So not only we shouldn't feel upset and sad, but we should feel happy. So once again, thank you very much. This basically is the third chapter that we talk about happiness. We talk about positivity, and it's so important for our days today. Bezrat Hashem, we are planning to start a JLI course